everyone. How you guys doing? Dr. Nana here, and this is NMTV New York. I think, like I said in the beginning, that politics come, politics go. The nation remain, right? Recently, I was listening to Channels TV. I really do like to listen to Channel TV because, in my view, they have a lot of credibility to their news anchoring in Nigeria. So, the interview that is one of their hosts had interview with Bode Badebo, the Labour Party governorship aspirant during the election season. I think that is past now. I think that man really has a lot to offer. I think what may have really affected his ideas that was not really pronounced would be that so much crowd and negativities and so much energy towards denigration of each other, in my view, by many folks in the Labour Party. I know that we all are yearning for change, but the way some of the followers agitate and go to people's forum to write cursing may have dumped his own messaging. This is the future of Nigeria. Oh yes. These are the kind of people that the future of Nigeria. That's the people we are looking for in Nigeria. We are the future of Nigeria. So if we want Nigeria to actually fail, I think we need to give people like Badebo a voice. Here is what he said.
We are people that are welcoming, but unfortunately they're bringing a new culture to Lagos, which really needs to be addressed.
So let me ask you about your political history now. In ambition.
Okay, that's a good question. Well, the journey after my Central run, which was a very good run, I started building structure and urban planning in China to be able to understand how you want to increase the density of a place without reducing the community feeling of the place, right? It's a government that was tackling flooding of low dwelling areas, and everything is using non-conventional architecture types of construction models to deliver at 60% of the cost of a regular construction process, are engaged. You look at polls and you're finding that 7 are ongoing.
But you agree with those who say that godfatherism rules in Lagos State?
Godfatherism has been ruling because the people of Lagos have been very irresponsible. You have to think about it. 6 million registered voters, barely 1 million people came out to vote. You can only rig an election where you are either extremely popular or there is voter apathy. Voter apathy has been the trend of the day in Lagos State. You have many young men that they will cross the desert to get to Italy. They will go on the Atlantic to get to England, but they cannot stay in the queue to vote. They will rather go and play football on the day of election. They take pride in it. So, for too long, we have left these things in the hands of the politicians because people were just not bothered, right? But now, Lagos has remained the same. There is tokenism. We are run by, look at Buhari came here, there was a whole pageantry, blocked our roads, commissioned the blue rail. I don't think anybody used the blue rail yesterday. I don't think anybody is going to use it tomorrow. And
the reason is?
It's not working. Is it working? Nobody is using it. So they use this as tokenism, and it happens every 4 years. Every 4 years you hear about the 4th mainland bridge. Every 4 years you hear about it. Then when they enter office, the story goes down again. I can only imagine if the 3rd mainland bridge was not built by the military. We'll be on the 12th year still talking about contracts about the 3rd mainland bridge. Right? So for me, it's the people waking up. This thing lies in the people.
Do you think the people are awake? Do you think the people are tired? And that the issue of voter apathy and voting based on inducements is not going to happen specifically in Lagos State?
Well, no, see, we're 60, what's that percentage now? There's a huge amount of poverty in Lagos State. And, people will always some people will take money. We are saying take the money and vote your conscience. Take your money and vote the candidate that will be in your interest to rule, to govern Lagos State. There's that. And then also the middle class. You are here, you woke up, you got dressed, you went to work. There are many people like you. In fact, I will even go as far as saying majority of people in Lagos are like you. Even though we don't have the IGR that we have in Lagos State. We're a very productive state. We can be a lot more. We can increase our productivity by 200 to 300%. But we are productive. And these productive people, they don't need your 5,000 naira to vote. They don't need your 1,000 naira to vote. Right? But they have not been coming out in the past. So that is the demographic I am targeting. I am saying it with my chest. Those people will change the narrative of Nigeria because they are the guardians of democracy. If those who come out to vote and they don't need your 1,000 naira, they don't need your 5,000 naira, they'll stay and watch those elections, then you can actually, the equation then starts to get balanced. But democracy is about representative governance. And if you are leaving only a group of people that are voting based on their stomach to determine who your governor is, then that governor will only reflect those group of people.
You know, I've listened to you on a couple of occasions speak about Lagos and say that Lagos is not working. It raises the question, is Lagos really not working? Because this is the same Lagos that's...
Right? Lagos State had been excellent. That's why it's called the Center of Excellence. It was excellent. As far back as 1966, Lagos State was ranked as one of the best cities in the world. In the last decade, it's been ranked as one of the the worst livable place to live, worst livable city to live in the world, second worst livable city to live. The other one is war-torn, or they're having some issues with war, right? Now, Lagos State, that the APC as it currently is inherited, was the former commercial. That is madness. You don't get to see your children in the morning. You come back, your children have gone to bed, right? And you'll be sat in 3-4 hour traffic every day. And we've been doing this for decades. It's not normal. You are watching, literally, government is watching the proliferation of young men becoming agros, wasting their lives away, carrying a stick and just taking money from people. To the point where the bus drivers are now complaining. People are being robbed. There's a young man that I spoke about in my state of state address where he was shot. He was shot because they wanted to rob him. He lost his sight. This could happen to anybody, right? Even before we would say that, okay, it was in the Gomu area, it was in the Jeremy Amo area. Anyway, Lekki phase 1 now is starting to happen. And then you have youth unemployment. You are just watching it expanding. And this agro population is increasing and increasing. And you turn a blind eye because you want to use them, join politics and join elections. You have a situation where they say they took 1.2 billion to do a blue line. That something almost double the length of it was done with 450 million in Ethiopia. You know, they make all sorts of excuses, but they've only done 13 kilometers in about 14 years or so, right? And it's just tokenism. Healthcare system is not working. Our education, our children are still sitting on the floor. There are no tables. They take pride in Eco Excel. That's just pretty much covered 30% of all the schools in Lagos State, right? I mean, it's just mediocrity at its finest, right? And when they say Lagos State is being used as a yardstick, you must understand that by the time, before Naraman war and all of that, I mean, and look at all the traffic. Just look at Lagos State and imagine if Lagos State worked. Imagine how much more productive you'll be. How many people can have 3 meetings in a day on a weekday in Lagos State? Now, think about how much traffic it takes to get to some markets. And then go and visit the inner roads in Lagos. Right? Forget Ikeja to Lekki.
You have a solution to the traffic situation?
Oh yes, we're going to deliver 4 rail lines in 4 years, and we're going to do this transparently. We are not going to do it based on the purse strings of our government. We're going to create an enabling environment for the private sector to come and build and invest. Our job as regulators and as equity owners in that SPV, right, or whatever manifestation it will take, will be to ensure that we can regulate the prices so it's delivered at the most affordable price for Lagosians. Projects, right? So that's one. Another thing, we are going to expand the Lagos West and Lagos East. with a belt road in Lagos East that connects VI all the way to Ibejuleki on one side of Lagoon, on the other side Ikodu all the way to Ekpe. And I'm going to link this with short 6-kilometer bridges at all their shortest points. That way you create a knitting that allows for a city to work more efficiently. If you look at the way the Thames going through it, there are over 52 bridges that are linking either side of the Thames. And that's how you connect an interwoven city. Then Badagry, we have to take that blue line all the way to Badagry to restore the tourism economy that used to be there in the days of our fathers, right? So that even when we are giving permissions for people to do dredging, is based on data that is furthering our interest of dredging our waterways to allow for water transportation. And once we allow for this information to be out in public, then companies can come and say, okay, I'll take this route.
Having listened to all these policy ideas that they have, when people like him have space in the political arena of Nigeria, regular people can then assume office. I don't know if being a Labour Party candidate kind of damped him, but in my view, I think he has a lot to offer. Nigeria needs to listen to people like this. He's not done yet. He needs to come back to campaign, probably find the right party to be, or just campaign as an independent candidate, because independent candidate here win. You know, in the US, he knows about that. He went to MIT, and that's a great school, and his thesis, he talked about it. So he really have great plans for Nigeria, not just in Lagos. So I don't know if becoming a Lagos state governor might be difficult for him. Here is what he said.
And who has the most potential to win based on the money he has? You know, politics has really gone down.
So your understanding of politics, does it mean that your ideology is way more important than perhaps political mentorship?
Yes, I'll say that, because political mentors, you know, there are people that I look at and I admire, but do I admire them because they've lifted Nigeria to where I feel Nigeria ought to be? Possibly not. They've done well for themselves as politicians. They've been able to emerge as winners. I mean, I look up to people like Lateef Jakonde. I mean, I talk about him all the time because of what he was able to achieve for Lagos in 4.5 years. When you look at that level of performance and compare it to the last 20 years, you wonder whether he was superhuman. But it was just because he had a heart for the people. And he was very passionate about delivering quality service in the fastest possible time. You know, you could see that when you look at and reflect on everything he was able to achieve. Same thing with Awolowo. These were people that were so passionate about delivering service to their people. So yes, I look up to politicians like that, and they did have an ideology. You would say it was not quite socialist, but it was that in between capitalism and socialism. It was a welfare system, but not a welfare system that for the lazy person, but trodden. The state is not going to leave you behind.
Whatever they consider to be godfatherism in Lagos.
Yes, I mean, we're going through that process now. It's something that's ongoing. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of talk, and there's a timing to it as well. So where those conversations are being had, rest assured, and I'm sure that before the presidential elections, a coalition will be fully formed. But those conversations are ongoing.
But you agree with the rules in Lagos State?
Godfatherism has been ruling because the people of Lagos have been very irresponsible. You have to think about it. 6 million registered voters, barely 1 million people came out to vote. You can only rig an election where you are either extremely popular or there is voter apathy in England, but they cannot stay in the queue to vote. They would rather go and play football on the day of election. They take pride in it. So, you know, for too long, we have left these things in the hands of the politicians because people were just not bothered. Right? But now, I mean, Lagos has remained the same. The land bridge. Every 4 years, you hear about it. Then when they enter office, the story goes down again. I mean, I can only imagine if the third mainland bridge was not built by the military. We'll be on the 12th year still talking about contracts about the third mainland bridge. Right? So, for me, it's the people in the people.
Do you think the people are awake? Do you think the people are tired? And that the issue of voter apathy and voting based on inducements is not going to happen, specifically in Lagos State?
Well, no, see, we're 60, what's that percentage now? There's a huge amount of poverty in Lagos State. And, people will always, and if you are leaving only a group of people that are voting based on their stomach to determine who your governor is, then that governor will only reflect those group of people.
I've listened to you on a couple of
About the
occasions.
plans of what he has. Having listened to all these things, we know that these are the kind of people we are looking for. I want to encourage him to keep on the light, keep speaking on public forum, looking for town halls. I don't know if becoming a governor in Lagos might be tough. You may have to go back again to run for Senate and keep your light on. And we'll be following up on this story because these are the kind of people Nigeria truly, truly need. And the tribe and tribal, ethnic and everything that came up during this election did not also help him a lot. So we as Nigerians, we need to tap down on those tribe sentiment, tribal and all that. We need to look for intellect. We need to look for people who will bring policies that can move the nation forward. We talked about Jankande a lot, and I think I kind of like him, and I want people to pay attention to him. And I also want my followers to see that there is so much potential in so many other people that going to people's forum to cause because you are mad about what other person is right, it's not the way forward. That's not civilized. People come to my forum to write nonsense. I just delete it because it's not necessary. You don't need to voice your anger over what someone else is writing. Just speak your own in your own view, or go to your forum and speak how you want it. You don't cause, all right? So, but it's a body badible. It's someone that we should be looking out for in Nigeria, people of his caliber. And I want to thank you all for listening. I hope you watch this again and have your take. Take care now, and bye for now.